Hello, this is Katia, your midwife. Today it's tutorial day and I'm going to show you how to present the first food to your babies once you start your journey in introducing solid foods. I'm not going to talk about introduction to solid foods as such today because this is one of the topics that I normally touch in my workshops, one-to-one consultations. So if you would like to have a more detailed consultation about introducing solid foods to your baby, just go on my website www.yourmidwife.co.uk or send me an email or a private message through Facebook and I'll be more than happy to arrange an appointment for you. So you've started your journey with your baby, presenting them solid foods. Some people, depending on their ethnic background and their family history, feel more comfortable with starting giving the baby food in a puree form. But with the puree, just a word of advice, make sure that you move on to other forms of food quite, I wouldn't say immediately, but fairly soon. Normally we would advise to give them different consistencies and different forms of the same food. So babies could get used to the different textures. So from puree, you can start chopping more or less finely your food, or you can slice it, or you can make it into finger food or something that the baby can grab and put to their mouth. Okay, so say you want to give them some fruit. Fruit normally would be given very ripe, so it has to be nice and soft because normally at 6 months of age or 7 months of age, most babies don't have teeth. They can chew very well with their gums, but obviously we don't want to give them like a piece of raw carrot because otherwise they're gonna choke and there's a high risk of choking in that. So from 6 to 7 months of age, you can already start giving food in a form which is not puree. To start with, if you want to give, I don't know, an apple. So apple is one of those fruits that if you want to give them a nice thick slice for them to grasp, then in that case, you want to cook them. Just cook it in the microwave for a couple of minutes or steam for a short period of time, just enough for it to be soft for the baby to grab, not mash it too much, and eat. If you instead have a raw apple, you don't have time to cook for some reason, or you don't want to cook and you want your baby to experiment with a raw apple, you can cut it into a very thin, fine slice like this. So see, this is the apple slice, nice and thin. And then the more the baby will become confident, the more you can increase the thickness until you get to a normal quarter of an apple like this. So this is quite easy. If you want to start with this kind of size, then you want to cook the apple, especially at the beginning of the weaning process, weaning journey. Pears, mangoes, bananas, peaches, apricots, you don't need to cook. Just make sure they're nice and ripe and you can cut it at any size you want. Ripe fruit, you can also make it into little cubes or anyway chop them so the baby can just pick them up and they can start developing those fine motor skills to use 2 fingers to pick things up and put them in their mouth. Other fruit like strawberries, as I said, you can just roughly chop them into pieces like that, then move on to a quarter, then to half of a strawberry. And then if it's a particular big strawberry, why not give them a full strawberry, obviously under supervision and when they are a bit more confident. So not at the very beginning of their eating solid food process. Okay, just make sure that they get there quite gradually. Other fruits that you could give your baby, avocados. So if we're starting with the mashing stage, you can just cut the avocado in half and then with a fork, just mash it. And this is the perfect emergency food for your baby. Say you're on holiday, you've gone out and it's got too late and you don't have anything to feed your baby with, or you're at dinner with friends, your baby's 6-7 months, so you can just cut an avocado in half, mash it with a fork and give it to the baby. That's a very, very good alternative to any other food you can cook to your baby. Or you can just slice it and give it to them so they can just grab it and eat. Carrots. This is a sort of vegetable that needs to be cooked, soft cooked, until a certain point when the baby will have all their teeth and they will be quite comfortable and confident with more crunchy and raw foods. So carrots, soft cook them, and then you can finely chop them. I've got an example here, put it in my hand, so you can just finely chop your carrot and then move on to bigger pieces, so roughly chopped. But best of all would be to give it, since day one, or anyway since the beginning of your weaning journey, soft cooked, made into little strips, or anyway little sticks that the baby can grab. So it is very important that the baby gets that dexterity with food, that they get confident into taking their own food and bring it to their mouth. So not necessarily we need to spoon feed babies, or anyway, even if we spoon feed babies, the aim is not to get them to spoon feed forever, or anyway, we don't want them to be spoon fed. There is going to be a time around 10 to 12 months that they grab the spoon and they start eating by themselves. And this is what we want. We want these babies to become more autonomous, more independent, and start to enjoy family foods together with you. Okay? Other foods that we could give to babies fairly soon could be nuts. Obviously, nuts is one of these, goes into the category of foods that could give allergies. So in that case, if you're presenting babies with food which are highly allergenic, like nuts, eggs, or cow's milk, make sure that you give them 3 to 4 days apart. Okay, so eggs, in terms of how to present eggs, just to digress a little bit, eggs could be given like in a scrambled form, or you can soft boil the egg, or hard boil the egg. Make sure that it's thoroughly cooked, and then you chop it very finely, and you can give it to the baby, no problem. Okay, so nuts. How to give nuts to your baby? At the beginning, just finely chop the nuts or ground them, even better, and you can add it to their food. When they start having teeth, when they become a bit more confident with chewing things and they can chew with their teeth and then ingest them, swallow them, you can start giving them like nuts or walnuts in very small pieces. So if it's a walnut like that, I would divide it into a quarter, or anyway into an eighth, let's say. So this is less than half. So this is a quarter of walnut. You just want to make it into small pieces like that, okay, to avoid choking. If you have peanuts, you want to divide them by 4, or anyway very finely chopped. When they're very little, when babies are very little, I would ground them, or I would basically ground them or finely chop them and add them to their food. Okay, if you found these videos very helpful and you liked it, just like it, like my Facebook page, share these videos, spread the word, and as I said, if you have more questions, just put a comment under this video, or email me, or send me a message through Messenger. If you're interested in seeing me for a one-to-one or group consultation on a baby-led weaning or introduction to solid foods, just go to my website www.yourmidwife.co.uk and contact me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.